We begin with the gale of defections hitting the opposition during the week. Worst hit has been the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, following the defection of the governor of Delta State, Sheriff Oborowori, his immediate past predecessor, and PDP's 2023 vice presidential candidate, Ifeanyi Okowa, and other leaders of the party in Delta State to the All Progressives Congress, APC. Ahead of the 2027 general elections, the state of health of Nigeria's democracy, and especially what's going on in the opposition parties concerning their future, appears to be greatly compromised, as analysts say the country is steadily tilting towards a one-party state. The national chairman of the ruling All Progressives Congress, Abdullahi Ganduje, has boastfully stated that more PDP governors and senators are on their way to join the APC, and that going by the turn of events, 2027 is, quote, a done deal for the party. The presidency shares similar confidence with Ganduje, mocking a planned coalition to snatch power from Tinubu in 2027 by former PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, former governor of Kaduna State Nasir El-Rufai, a former secretary to the government of the Federation Babachir Lawal, and a new member Hakim Baba Ahmed, all futile attempts, according to it. While responding to the defection of Oborowori and Okowa, who served as Atiku's running mate in the 2023 presidential election, the former vice president says it is within their right to freely associate, pointing out that the election in 2027 is not going to be between the APC and PDP, but between APC and the impoverished people, citizens of Nigeria. Well, to help us make sense of the gale of defections and the consequences on opposition politics ahead of 2027, we have joining us in the studio the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, Yabagi Sani, who is also a former presidential candidate. He's also the immediate past chairman of the Interparty Advisory Council, IPAC. And also joining us is the national chairman of the Young Progressives Party, YPP, Bishop Amakiri.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Happy New Year, Sambo.
Well, having you after a long time. All right. Well, it's not all that exciting for opposition political parties. Let's start from you, Yabagi Sani, having been a former presidential candidate yourself, and then, of course, former IPAC chairman, and then, of course, the incumbent Action Democratic Party national chairman. What's been your view? And is this what preparations for elections are usually like, where you'll want to grab anybody that you can grab, or lure anyone who's willing to be lured?
Well, it's not anything surprising, because when you have a situation where people have captured, the state, what we call state capture. State capture means all the institutions that composed what you call democracy itself, democratic structures. Once you are able to capture all of them, then there's no longer breathing space for any other party or any other person outside your own confines, in this case, political party that you represent. And I'm talking about APC. If you look at the way our constitution, which is the grand norm, is structured, and the electoral law itself, you will discover that opposition party in Nigeria, it's a very, very difficult, effort by anybody who wants to really manage a political party or contest elections against somebody who, like I said, has captured the state. Why do I say the state capture? When you look at the institutions, that will declare you, even if you have won, assuming the people have given you their votes is not enough. It doesn't stop there. You have agencies of the government that will now say, yes, you are the one that has been elected. So in an event where you have all these agencies, not a single one, is outside the control of your opponent.
Well, we have independent National Electoral Commission, for example,
so to speak,
independent, and then the judicial arm of government, Supreme
exactly,
Court,
so to
independent.
Speak. But who appoints them? That's the question. who can remove them if he wants to, can initiate the removal of such people. He can reward, he can punish. And if I can reward and punish, then I dictate the tone. You may call them anything, that you want to call them. But the reality of the fact is that all these institutions are in the hands of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And he decides how they operate. That is the reality. And we have seen it played out, in the past, under Buhari administration, under President Obasanjo administration, under, all the administrations before Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So the issue is that the way we have structured the political space by way of the laws, the institutions, they are not in any way, in favor of an opposition political party to really be able to put up a fight and win. So this is why when we are talking about Delta State, what has happened in Delta State, and the fact that you have people like the vice presidential candidate, immediate vice presidential candidate in the person of Okoa, coming out to declare for the opposition party, and the governor, sitting governor, also declaring for the opposition party. Of course, what does that tell you? It tells you that the state is really a one-party state. If we must, come to terms with the realities. And then again, you look at the way the president himself has been, maneuvering, or shall I say, has been loading it over the nation. Look at the episode now in Rivers State. Look at how the elections, the past elections, were like Edo. People, we all know, we saw what happened, but look at the results. What was declared? It's a different thing from exactly what happened. And so the issue is that all this political pornography that is happening in this country, because pornography, yes, it's pornography. It's a shameful act in the open. That's what pornography is all about, and that's what this APC government. That is what they're engaged in.
All right, I'll just ask you to hold on there.
Without any shame at all.
Well, let me bring you in, Bishop Amakiri. I mean, these are not exciting times for opposition political parties. But of course, the idea of having a political party is to win elections. And parties do anything to remain relevant, get the right candidates, woo people, and then win elections. Isn't that what the APC is doing?
Yes. I have some different views when you talk about defection. I've heard you mentioning coalition or whatever. And I think that we must give it to democracy. If we want to define what democracy is, I think there are so many things that we need to also touch. We talk about freedom of expression, freedom of association, but it all depends on how people actually exercise their freedom of expression and association. Most times people call it defection. I call it interest defection because it's just all about interest, and the truth of the matter is that interest is a genetic structure of human nature. Everything we do in life boils down to interest, even in religion. Today you find somebody as a Christian is moved to be a Muslim, or a Muslim Christian. That is even one of the most difficult decisions for religious believers, to undertake in this world. Not talk about politics. Politics is what I would call, like I've just said earlier, it's just about interest. And there is no political reward in heaven. Political reward remains here on earth. Whatever thing, all the hula baloo, the up and down, everybody's talking about it interest. But the problem I have is when people do not really bring forth the people's interest as above their own personal interest. So parochialism has actually taken the order of the day. So that is just the major problem that we are facing today. Otherwise, there is no political party, and that's why I say let's be sincere. It's important we look at the proper perspective of our conversation and anchor it within that premise. When you talk about defection, and I said earlier, it's about interest, I call it interest defection. No political party that has not enjoyed one person leaving one other party to the other.
Yeah, I mean, because that's what the governing party is saying.
That is the truth
if
of
they
the
were
matter.
defecting into PDP or ADP or YPP, wouldn't we?
No, that is why
some of your party members
why
have been
I
clapping
said.
for
That
them.
is why I said. That's why I said. There is no. I know that my brother here, my senior colleague, I call him my senior colleague because by age is my senior. Not that the party is older than YPP.
Okay.
Because
We're born the same
yeah,
day.
we're born the same day. But you know, I know he has a senator in, I think in Plateau.
Yes, yes.
He was not an original member of ADP.
Yeah. No, he was.
No, I mean, was ADP
Senator.
the first party?
Yes. Yes.
He has not been
No. He
a member
was.
of any other
Wasn't
party.
the
No, no,
one
no.
that who was supposed to be in PDP, but
Yeah.
because of that, he eventually.
Aha.
No, he was our
Okay,
member.
but I know
He
that.
was our national auditor. Actually.
But I know you
Yes,
have had other party
Yeah,
members from other
yeah,
parties to
exactly,
ADP.
exactly.
Yeah, so I'm
Like
talking.
in Oyo we had House of Representatives
Yeah.
and things
So,
like
but my problem is when people play politics of no conscience. I have problem with that.
And what do you mean by politics of no conscience?
For
So that we
example,
define it clearly.
for example, there's no reason why I will be elected under a political party that uses all her structure to give me the support. Number one, the party members will vote for you. They will protect your mandate because it's political parties that actually produce agents, you know, that protect your votes. Those people were under the rain, under the sun, took all the risks to protect your vote.
Well,
Then now today, you leave those people behind and you say you are going to another party. That's why I said, that for me, it does not, it actually does not, it's not actually, it doesn't resonate when I talk about this conscience.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
but however, if you are having somebody who has not won election under a political party, you know, and maybe along the line, like for example, I'll give you an example. We just had somebody who defected from APC to YPP, who is now a governorship candidate in Anambra. Why did he do that? He said injustice was meted on him. He has suffered to bring this party into limelight. And then when he needed the party support the most, the party was not there for him. So that is justifiable.
all right. And I'll bring you in. I want to ask you that same question. If you had some of these top shots defecting to the ADP, wouldn't you have been saying that democracy is working, things are going well, you commend Nigerians and all of that? Like, I mean, you political parties and politicians usually say. That's what the APC seems to be saying.
Yeah, I agree, but we will not use EFCC to intimidate anybody. We will not quietly call them that, you know, you have this, you know, which we can use against you, but, you know, why don't we collaborate and then see how we can move this country forward, you know. Like in the case of Delta, we're all aware Okoa was facing EFCC, you know, and perhaps we don't know what the governor also was going through and others who they say now that they're on their way to APC. Our parties will not use that. We won't use, you know, coercion, you know, a kind of silent.
Are you saying that the APC should feel ashamed accepting people who are defecting into the party who have cases with anti-graft agencies?
Exactly. That is why when I used the word pornography, you said it's a strong one. But look at it. No, it is. It's a shameful act done in the open, you know, with no regard to what anybody may think.
Well, that's
Not
for
even
political
fear of
parties
God.
that subscribe to higher ideals.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But we must have subscribed to higher ideals. This is what that's the call. That's the call of it's the call to service. It's not for you to come and then use whatever means, you know, like the end justify the means issue that we are doing. And it's unfortunate that this is happening under the watch of Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
What do you say?
Who
it's
in the
unfortunate?
past, who is unfortunate because we thought this is a Democrat, you know, a thoroughbred Democrat that we believe will come and then change the scenario that we had before. We could forgive President Muhammadu Buhari because of his background, isn't it? You can't separate him from the mechanistic background he was coming from. But Bola Ahmed Tinubu grew through the ranks, you know, to become who he is today. So one would have thought that he would do everything to ensure that this system, you know, is entrenched. The roots of democracy is entrenched in the largest economy or the biggest, you know, country on the continent of Africa. So, but look at what is happening. It's a complete opposite that is happening. as if it's not Bola Ahmed Tinubu that is on the saddle. So this is why I'm saying what is happening in this country is a shameful thing that is happening.
All right.
How Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a senator before will agree to violate our constitution just to achieve what?
Well,
to grab power.
They will say that they've not violated any constitution.
No, but
maybe these things fall within the realms of morality.
No, but
and of course,
but
you and I know that politics has no morality. 3,000
Frenchmen be wrong, like the saying goes. How can everybody be saying you are
no,
wrong?
Politics has morality. That's why I mentioned
only you in the APC will be saying no, we are right. No, you see, that's not the kind of system we want to operate. And I think it is not too late for Bola Ahmed Tinubu to change, and build this democracy for us.
All right. And Bishop Amakiri, do you expect the governing APC to be the one doing the work of the opposition political parties?
No.
Isn't it time for you people to also put your house in order? Just like in 2013, we had the APC being formed, and by 2014 it was a party, a conglomeration of political parties. Isn't every party supposed to actually want to grab power? I mean, want to be at the center.
Okay.
This party is there. They want to maintain that. Shouldn't the opposition be uniting too?
Yeah, I think one of the major problems that could be an impediment to this whole process, I will say sincerity of purpose, number one. And why did I say so? If you look at the scenario that played back around the 2015, that even brought the APC on board. Like you said, it was a coalition. But it's important most times, we need to define, like people were saying change. Change can be negative, change can also be positive. So now, it boils down to even the downtrodden. Whenever people come to preach the gospel of maybe, please vote for me, or do this for me, they need to interrogate very well these characters that comes to them, asking them for their vote. So one of the major problems, like I said, sincerity of purpose. The kind of coalition that people bring on the table or discussion of coalition is nothing more than their own parochial interest.
Well, have you been approached? And do you think that the latest one is also heading towards personal interest?
Let me be pragmatic and tell you the truth. If I'm approached about a coalition, the first question I will ask is this thing that I'm telling you now. Where is the sincerity of purpose? What kind of coalition? Is it just about grab for power? Or is it about bringing together? And I don't even agree, I don't believe in this word of coalition. I don't.
Why?
Alliance is okay.
Okay.
Allow me with my identity.
Okay, so the
as
white people should go into
party.
A potential
yes.
alliance.
Allow me with my identity of young progressive. No, not dissolve.
Okay.
Okay? Because the truth of the matter is that we are human beings endowed in different abilities. Okay? What might be good for you might not be good for me. For example, I stand on the ideology that if you allow me, I will tell you there should be in fact, the next president of Nigeria should not be more than 50, 55 years. I'm just telling you.
Well, that's the white people.
No, excuse me. That's why I said that is my own take. Then you also say I will push that the ministers also should be, because one of the problems we are lacking today in this country is that there's no spirit of mentorship, right? So when you look at this coalition conversation, the whole thing is about the same old system. And those people pushing for the coalition, none of them is ready to say we want another younger generation. Okay. And we will give them the support. And that's the reason why such kind of coalition, I don't think is palatable with my own kind of. So it's not about not wanting to have a coalition or whatever, but I think the word alliance for me will work better.
Okay, so let me come back to Engineer Sani. Let's talk about this coalition that's been built up to challenge the APC. I mean, the presidency is just laughing at the likes of Atiku Abubakar and El-Rufai and all of that. You have been in the game for quite some time. I don't know if the ADP has been approached. Do you think that if all the opposition political parties, come together, whether coalition or alliance, as he says, that you can be able to defeat the APC and stop what you started with by saying state capture by the APC? Is there a possibility?
Well, there's nothing that is impossible, and politics is about impossibilities, really, if you look at it. But again, you have to be realistic, for you to really be able to convince other people. Because, you see, the proponents of this coalition thing you're talking about, even the message is not a relatable message. The citizens of Nigeria cannot even relate to the messages because they are echoing so many different messages. You see somebody today who stood up in the National Assembly to become the minister and was denied, and today he says he's doing coalition against where he wanted to serve as the minister. Or you see somebody today who in fact brought a whole party to his knees, for his own interest, and now, coming now to say he wants to do coalition. And the fact of the matter is that we must not lose sight of what this country is. We have what, unfortunately, there are subterfuge, forces in our political space. What are they? There are three primordial, sentiments: the regional politics which we have, the ethnicity politics, and the religious politics which we have. You ignore them at your peril. If you come to, especially at the national level, you want to contest for the presidency of this country, and you don't want to look at the issue of region, that from which region am I? We have an unwritten understanding or agreement amongst Nigerians. Unfortunately, we boxed ourselves to that corner, where we now say there's a rotation, in the presidency of this country, that the North will have it for 8 years, in accordance with the Constitution, if you are elected again, and then South will have it for 8 years, and then when the North has done its 8 years under President Muhammadu Buhari, unbroken, and then you now come to South and you say the South cannot enjoy the 8 years. You now want to fight then as Northern Bloc, or as whichever bloc you want to call it. Like some people will say lazily that, it's a contest between Tinubu and Nigerians. It's not. It's a contest between the North and the South. And the fact of the matter is that there is that consensus that this zoning has been accepted because it has worked against
it got broken in 2013. To 2015, between 2013 and 2015,
but when
happened? Jonathan lost, because a new party was formed in 2013, and by 2015...
But let me tell you why the party
was broken.
No, it was broken for a reason. It was broken because the zoning, what Jonathan wanted to do was amounted to a third term,
Well, there was that controversy.
No, it was what the North believed it was, and it was indeed so, because you enjoyed the 2 years of Yaradua, the late Yaradua, and you had your 4 years again, which added to the 2 years and what have you, and then you wanted to have 10 years, So they now say no, that will run against the grains, the understanding that we had.
Yeah.
That is why, in spite of the fact that Jonathan had what you can call power of incumbency, all the institutions are at his beck and call, he could not, maneuver his way through those institutions because the entrenchment of these sentiments, is stronger.
All right. So that means you are also agreeing with those who are saying that President Tinubu should actually just, out of sentiment for that agreement, just be allowed to do another term.
It shouldn't be just allowed. We should challenge him as opposition party.
If you do that, then you will be challenging that norm of having 8 years.
I understand.
Just like the North enjoyed it.
But the fact of the matter is that this is politics, isn't it? And who knows, we can have an own goal.
Okay,
but
very interesting perspective.
We know the reality of the fact is that there is no way you can remove Tinubu 2027 because of our own unwritten agreement as a nation.
Well, some people believe it can be removed, and I want to hear your views on that, because they say the Constitution just allows you to do one term, and if you've done very well, then you'll be rewarded with the second term.
I think anybody, with due respect to his own opinion, anybody who's saying nobody can remove Tinubu, I think the person is making a mistake. Maybe that would be an affront.
So you think Tinubu is beatable?
That would be an affront to the intelligence of Nigerians.
You think Tinubu is beatable? Myself. With all these endorsements and all of that?
Who is endorsing him? Who? How many people are endorsing him? It's a question I want to ask you, for God's sake. I don't know whether you are part of those who have endorsed him.
Well, you would have seen that state governors who control structures.
No,
and moving
governors,
to the APC
forget about, see,
and all of that. And so
governors,
the fear among political
you
parties.
see, that's the mistake we are making today. And that's why even political parties, which I belong to that constituency, we're making a lot of mistakes. When we say governors are leaders of the party and these are leaders of the party, the mistake, I admire, the kind of system South Africa, political system they are actually entrenching today, That's what is called true democracy. In fact, party supremacy. Party supremacy. Some people to think that Tinubu is not beatable. If Goodluck, he just gave a narrative about Goodluck, right? That he did not kicked against it because he was going for almost like that time, like he said, or 10 years. It's not true. There was one ticket him and Yar'Adua of blessed memory was enjoying. So if circumstance prevails, who now should take over seat of power? It's for the second man in charge to complete that term.
Well,
and the man contested 2011, won his first term. Because the other 2 years he completed was for Yar'Adua.
Well, he was there as a president, actually.
No,
so the thinking that it was that
argument is not justifiable.
He would have had 10
okay?
years.
So, my dear brother, what is happening to all of us today is nemesis.
All
and
right,
especially, particularly the PDP.
Break.
Particularly PDP. Look at the bunch of people who went to visit former President Buhari. The likes of the Atiku, the likes of the Tambuwals, I think, and the El-Rufai and co and whatever. Is because of this ego, or maybe some of them arrogant, they think that that kind of, visit cannot be extended to former President Goodluck Jonathan.
All right.
The man, like he rightly said, most of them brought that party to their knees. So I'm not even sympathizing with whatever PDP is happening to PDP. No, I'm not sympathizing with
that was
them.
the party
I'm only
sympathizing.
I'm sympathizing with Nigerians, frankly speaking.
Well, I mean, he's brought a very good context to it, issues of this north-south and all of that. But when we'll go on the short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion, because it has to actually do with how Nigerians arrange their system, arrange their political setup, and of course, sometimes fall victims to these agreements that sometimes are unwritten. I mean, like the British people